Had another chat with my mentor yesterday, and it was awesome. A lot of it kind of technical stuff I won't go into, showing me how to do email sequences and stuff like that, but again, really managed to challenge my thinking on stuff and help me move forward. So, I've mentioned in a couple of videos how I've been feeling that I'm resigned to the fact that I'm only going to be offering 2 days availability in my massage business, because I'm worried about putting more money down and not being able to fill it is one thing, and then also I'm worried about the effect of a second lockdown and how that might be if I've got extra money going out with nothing coming in. That's a fear. And also things do tend to slow down at Christmas, and there's going to be a lot of redundancies, and she really challenged my thinking on that. She's kind of challenged me to have a chat with my landlord and kind of use a little bit of leverage and kind of come to a bit of a deal where perhaps I say, look, I want to expand my business, I'm doing well, but explain my fears about things and say, look, let me have a room for, say, a trial of 6 weeks, and if I can fill those hours, I'll pay, and if not, I don't, just as a trial to see if we can go for something a bit more long term. And that seems really realistic. And she used this phrase about not being able to see our biases. So my bias, our perception of events, how we see things, is coloured by our biases and our beliefs about a situation. And I'd been telling myself, as you can see from some of my videos, that this was just a situation and it was a bit shit, but I had to accept it. And I think when I look back over the last 6 weeks, 2 months, about where I was, I hadn't even didn't even have a clinic, wasn't even sure if I was going to continue, had a lot of fears about that. And I'd done a video about growth being uncomfortable, so I moved through some discomfort. Things have changed, like I'm doing quite well, getting quite a lot of interest, but still, far from being abundant. It's still, what I'm coming to recognise is I am keeping myself in scarcity through fear. So what I've done is I've moved from one comfort zone into another, which is slightly more abundant. But I think you've got that one scared voice that is always just pulling you back, and it's just putting the brakes on stuff, and almost find it's almost like self-sabotage. It's you're always trying to feel safe, and moving ahead often doesn't feel safe, so there's a little voice which seems quite rational telling you to stop and slow down and settle here for a while. And to be honest, in my situation, like, that's really no good. I know there's not an age limit and a time limit on stuff, but I'm really not in the life situation I should be, and I can definitely see how it's not going to take too long for me to be doing really quite well. So yeah, this is why I say, people, you need to find a good mentor so they can kind of help illuminate your biases and see where these scripts are running, and that's definitely given me a renewed sense of kind of invigoration, and so that actually I could potentially be doing quite well by the end of the year, maybe not, but it's the feeling of working towards something where I was almost feeling a little bit down because I couldn't see how, however hard I worked in the current dynamic, that I was still going to be at kind of a really baseline income. I'm really kind of struggling to get by, and it doesn't have to be that way at all. And you know, here and there I'm going to continue doing videos about how my mindset's changed on stuff. And you know, because I've got to say, I moved forward a lot. Things started going quite well, and I think a week or two ago, and a lot of people this seemed to happen to, and I do really wonder if that full moon had an influence. She kind of went a bit nuts, had some really irrational fears. My focus went from what I was trying to achieve completely, you know, although some of that was because things were almost running on autopilot, like people were just coming in, and I kind of messed up by spending a week in a funk. I've then had to backtrack this week and you know, work extra hard, but I've felt the consequences of that. Like, this is the thing, if you're self-employed, if you don't go to work, you don't get paid. But sometimes there's a little time lag in that, you know. Likewise, if you work hard, you're kind of planting the seeds of success. And but yeah, I had some irrational worries, which is something that happens to me. That was not really about that, kind of. It's colouring my perception. So I got on some really good hypnosis that's taking care of that. Kind of thought that I'd fallen out of a friend when all the evidence suggested completely, you know, just went a bit weird, just bouncing a bit. I think some of it is because summer, it took one day to go from summer to basically winter. Really shit, horrible weather. Then we had news of extra restrictions, and yeah, I was definitely in a bit of a funk, you know. But this is where some of this kind of soul-based observing patterns things, you can catch yourself a lot quicker. Like, if I hadn't been careful and taken steps to kind of rectify that situation, it could have gone on for a long time, you know. So yeah, we continue to move forward on this thing.